Before tragedy struck, the McStay family lived a life that many would find familiar, balancing work, family time, financial struggles, and dreams for the future. They weren't celebrities. They weren't perfect. They were just like us. Joseph McStay was a man of ambition. He worked hard to provide for his family, building a niche business that specialized in decorative fountains. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work, and it gave the family a chance to settle into their newly purchased home in Fallbrook. A fixer-upper, but filled with potential, just like their future. Summer McStay, born Lisa Aranda, had changed her name before marrying Joseph. While some speculated on this change later, questioning her past, those close to her said she was simply trying to shape her identity. A protective mother, creative, spiritual, and somewhat private, Summer found joy in raising her two little boys and managing the chaos of a young household. They weren't wealthy. They weren't struggling. They were somewhere in between, like many families, scraping together a little savings, paying off debt, trying to give their kids a better life. Inside their home, there were crayon drawings, toys strewn across the floor, half-completed renovation projects, and notes about future family plans. There were birthday party plans, grocery lists, and coloring books still open on the table. It was a life interrupted. And that's what made it so terrifying, because it wasn't unusual. There was no forewarning, no sinister threats, no apparent enemies. What happened to the McStays could have happened to any family. The disappearance of an entire family, especially one with two young children, sent shockwaves through the country. Media outlets picked up the case almost immediately. Cable news ran nightly segments. Internet forums exploded with theories. Podcasts dissected every available clue. Social media was filled with prayers, speculation, and hope. A grainy surveillance video from the Mexican border crossing, believed by some to show the McStays, fueled rumors that they had fled to escape legal trouble or domestic issues. Others were convinced they were abducted by a cartel, or that they'd been taken by someone they knew. For years, the McStays became a symbol, not just of tragedy, but of the unknown. The haunting question of how a family could vanish in modern-day America without leaving a single clue kept people up at night. The house they left behind became a site of morbid fascination. Videos of the untouched kitchen, the bowls of popcorn, the uneaten fruit, went viral. Strangers studied every frame, hoping to see something the police had missed. People cared, not because the McStays were famous, but because they were relatable, because their story wasn't just about them, it was about all of us. Even now, many experts remain stunned by how few clues there were. No blood, no fingerprints, no forced entry. So how did Charles Chase Merritt pull it off? That question remains. Prosecutors believe Merritt may have lured Joseph away from the house first, possibly under the pretense of a business meeting. Some believe Joseph was killed separately, while Summer and the boys were later targeted in their home. Yet, there was no evidence of a struggle, no overturned furniture, no signs of violence. Some speculate that Summer may have known the killer, which could explain why she might have let him in willingly. Could she have been caught off guard, or threatened into compliance? There's even a chilling theory that the children were killed last, after witnessing what happened to their parents. A theory that no one wants to believe, but one that explains the utter lack of noise or escape attempt. The vehicle, later found near the Mexican border, may have been a misdirection. Experts believe Merritt left it there to throw off investigators and suggest a voluntary disappearance. And for a while, it worked. What allowed Merritt to stay ahead of the law for so long wasn't brilliance, it was boldness. He knew the system would assume they had run. He knew how to manipulate documents, forge checks, and lie convincingly. And in the quiet aftermath, he even played the grieving friend. When Merritt was finally convicted in 2019, many thought it was the end of the story. But for those who loved the McStays, justice felt both righteous and hollow. Yes, their killer was caught. Yes, he was sentenced to death. But the family was still gone. Their dreams, their laughter, their potential, all buried in the desert forever. And no punishment could return what was lost. For Joseph's brother, Michael McStay, the verdict brought relief, but not peace. He had been one of the most vocal advocates during the search, the media frenzy, and the courtroom drama. Over the years, he had become the public face of a grieving family, torn between hope and horror. In interviews, Michael often repeated one line: "All we ever wanted was to bring them home." Even if it meant bringing them home in caskets. The tragedy of the McStays didn't end with the gavel. It lives on, in their unfinished story, in the memories of those who knew them, and in the lesson it leaves for the rest of us. Evil doesn't always come as a stranger. Sometimes, it comes as a friend, a colleague, someone you've known and trusted for years. There are haunting truths that still linger in this case. How many other families are living one day away from something like this? How do you protect yourself from a threat you don't see coming? The McStay case has become a landmark study in family disappearance. It's taught investigators to question assumptions, to look deeper, to understand that not all disappearances are voluntary, and not all monsters wear masks. If anything, it's reminded the world of the fragility of life, the importance of paying attention to the people around us, the need to ask questions, to follow instincts, to seek help when something feels off, even if you're not sure why. Because one moment, you're planning dinner. The next, your name is on the evening news. What would you have done differently if you were the lead investigator? Do you believe Merritt acted alone, or was someone else involved? Let us know in the comments. Your voice could help keep the conversation and their memory alive. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing to True Crime Hub, where we cover the untold, the unresolved, and the unforgettable. And always remember, behind every mystery is a real family. A mother, a father, two innocent boys who never got to grow up. Let's keep their story alive.